Hello and welcome to Week 6 in Introduction to Psychology here, lopping right along, and we are going to be looking at the concept of learning. Now, that's what we're doing today in our class. We're learning things, but this particular chapter focuses on two major theories of learning, and we move away from cognitive learning. We're going to be discussing that more when we look at intelligence and thinking. When we look at that chapter, we're going to capture some of the ways in which we learn in that area. We're going to be looking at classical conditioning and operant conditioning. Now, the word conditioning can be used interchangeably with learning. So it's classical learning, operant learning. Those are the areas that we are going to be looking at. We are also heading into one of our special assignments. I want to talk to you about two of our special assignments today, actually. So first off, when you're looking at learning in the classical conditioning mentality, I have an assignment for you that takes a look at the area in the world that uses classical conditioning all the time, and that is the world of advertising. Advertising uses uses the concepts of classical conditioning to associate products with emotional responses. That's exactly what advertising is all about. One of the hallmarks of American psychology is actually advertising. It's one of the things that America has exported, and it's been exploited around the world. Now, in the textbook and the course book, particularly the course book, I go over the elements that make up an ad. And I'm having you do the same thing with a different ad. So there's a model within the course book about what I'm asking you to do in this assignment. Then I give you another ad, and I say, I want you to do the same thing. I want you to find the parts of this, and then I want you to do a brief analysis of who is the target audience, because there's always a target audience. Depends on the image, product, and the image and the ad placement. Ads that are during the football game or in Sports Illustrated are different than the ads that are in Vogue magazine. They're going to be different because they're after different populations. Okay, so that's the assignment that goes along with Chapter 5. The Chapter 6 discussion actually looks at operant conditioning. Now, operant conditioning is what we would refer to as learning by rewards and punishments. If I do this and I get punished, I'm less likely to do that. If I do this, I'm more likely to get a reinforcer, therefore I'm more likely to do that. It's basically called the law of effect, one of the very few laws that we actually see within the field of psychology. Now, I'm asking you to recognize laws that they experience in the world. Where the basic one is we work. We work, let's say you work for an hourly wage. For every hour of a certain behavior, you're getting a reward. And you could love doing that. You could love the work. You could really enjoy doing it. But the day they stop paying you is probably the day you're going to stop doing it. And, so the reward system is there. Now, the ABC contingency theory, which is a descriptive aspect of operant conditioning, is one of the most powerful models and most effectively meeting all the goals of psychology. So describing, explaining, predicting, and controlling. Operant conditioning is the number one theory to do all of those things. What I'm asking you to do in the discussion is to look at the ways in which the ABC contingency theory exists naturally in the world. Like you go to work and you get paid. That's of course I do, but that's a system of operant conditioning. And if you perform poorly, you might risk losing that reward because your behavior doesn't match the exact behavior description that the reward giver is expecting. So it's very much, the economy is a huge behavior plan. So I'm asking you to do the quiz and to do the discussion on that. The two special assignments. First, there's the personal change plan. Now, what the personal change plan is doing is it's taking that ABC that we're using to describe the world, and we're going to use it to change something about ourselves. So I'm asking you to pick a behavior that you would like to do more of. I want to eat healthier. It's always got to be a positive. I don't want to get into eliminating a behavior that takes a little bit more complex and gets into more complex behavior plans. But you could just simply phrase it as, let's say you swear a lot. I want to increase my use of an alternative word aside from the swear word, or something like that. You can still do that. But say I want to exercise more, I want to have a more regular study routine, I want to be a better partner in my relationship by doing X, Y, and Z on a consistent basis. Any one of those things, you're going to be creating a plan. This too, like one of the things I'm going to talk about in just a second, is I want this to be interactive between you and I. I'm a behavior management specialist. I do that in therapy, or used to. And so I can really help guide you to create a plan. And I'm going to ask you to implement it. You're actually going to try and change the behavior based on that. So I want, after this week, or during this week, once you've learned about operant conditioning, I want you to start thinking about that assignment. Go into the course book, special assignments, look at that, and pick a behavior that you want to change, and then let's start a dialogue. Now, in addition, the other special assignment that's on the horizon is the information literacy paper. Now that is like a research paper, but I'm really picking on the questions that you ask. And so there's a quiz that I use for you to propose a question, and the other question that I ask is, why are you interested in that? The reason I do that is that's a tool for us to communicate back and forth through grading. I'll grade it. It will always be less than a 100 as long as I still have questions, and I'll be sending you questions or asking you to make changes in your question in the feedback in that particular quiz. We go back and forth until you have a 100 on that, and that means you now have an approved question. You're ready to go. Make sure you still get the feedback on that last one, because I will be leaving feedback guiding you to your first steps in looking at the peer-reviewed literature. This paper, the information that you present on this paper, that is what is the field of psychology's perspective on this, whatever that idea that is you're examining, has to be sourced from peer-reviewed literature. That is the professional articles written by psychologists. These are hard to read, but they're the source material for what we know in psychology. You will have to access the KVCC library and use the KVCC librarians as resources to access these materials. So it's vital, first, that you have a very answerable question. That's where I'm going to be leading you in that particular quiz process. And second, that you are using the resources at KV to get peer-reviewed articles to support the answer to that question. Now, there's lots of detail. I don't want to go into it right now. There's lots of detail in the course book and in the video that I posted regarding the information literacy paper. So make sure you review all those materials. Start working on that now. You don't want to wait. If you're a procrastinator, it's time to put those childish ways away. That's not a personality type. It's a habit. It's a behavior habit. So, geez, put that in your behavior plan. How to not be a procrastinator anymore. And then you get started on that early so it doesn't turn into a pressure situation later that will then reduce the quality of your work. Start by posting that proposal question in that quiz, and let's get that dialogue started. It is very rare that people post one and they get it right off on the first one. Trust me, it takes 3-4 times before I help you get it to the point that it's actually going to be a good researchable question, and you're going to find stuff fairly easy to answer that question. That's my job, is to help you refine your question like that. So this week we have chapter 5, the learning chapter. We have a discussion and a quiz and the assignment. Oh, there's a quiz. I didn't say that. Quiz is instincts versus learning. Read about it. So we have those 3 things that I'm having you begin to look at. The behavior management one. You should be starting that process because you have to run it for a couple weeks at least, so until the due date. And then we had the information literacy proposal to get through. Sorry, I'm still sick. Sorry, I'm a little wavy today. Still medication's kicking in. So that's for this week. An exciting week full of things to do. And again, please post questions in the discussion board under class questions. That's the best way to ask me questions about anything. Usually somebody else in the class will kick in with the right answer before I can even get to it. So please use that discussion board if you have any questions for me or for anybody else in the class. So I will see you on the discussion boards, and I look forward to beginning these dialogues on your behavior management plan and your personal change plan. That's what I call it here, but the information literacy paper. So I'll see you then.